Hello, Chris. I'm sorry that the video responses come a bit late, but I realize that I really have nothing to say about the rumors about Zelda, or anything really related to Zelda Wii, mainly because E3 hasn't happened yet. It's in about a week. I'll make videos more often then about Zelda, and I'll try to make videos about other stuff more often in general. But for now, I'd like to make a Zelda-related video just for you, Chris, and this is for the blog war. I think you're gonna like this one. I hold in my hand Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess for the Wii, and I hold in my other hand Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess for the Gamecube. Now, the whole point of this video is going to point out why the Gamecube version is superior to the Wii version in every way except for one. Okay, the first reason why Twilight Princess is far superior on the Gamecube version is because it's canon on the Gamecube version. If you don't know what that means, it basically means that when you think about what actually happened as far as the timeline is concerned, the Gamecube version is what happened. And I'm sure you're wondering why this is a big deal, and I'll tell you. For timeline theorists, like myself, this is a very big deal because it has to deal with the geography of the land. And the geography of the land is very important when you're trying to figure out the timeline of a game, because if the geography does not match up from one game to the next, and I mean, it can slowly change, land masses shift, but if it goes drastically, just sporadically all over the place, then your timeline is a little shaky. Now, I've heard people say that Twilight Princess and A Link to the Past must take place within a close time span because Kakariko is on the same side of Hyrule Castle Town as in A Link to the Past as Twilight Princess. That is not true. In the Gamecube version, the canon version, it is on the east side, whereas in A Link to the Past it is on the west side. So you can assume that the village moved, and that's a pretty reasonable assumption, but you should not expect to have that be a proof point. Try to come up with more supporting evidence. Reason number 2 why the Wii version is inferior to the Gamecube version is that the box art depicts a magic bar in the screenshots. This is not a very big deal, but it's a big enough deal for me to point out that in the Gamecube box there are no misleading screenshots. Reason number 3, camera controls. How are you so willing to give that up in the Wii version of Twilight Princess? Reason number 4, speedrun tactics. In the Gamecube version, there is a move that you can do called the long jump attack. Basically, you throw your boomerang over a gorge, and as long as you could have died in that gorge, once the boomerang is coming back to you, you pull out your sword, you do a jump attack, and you will jump over it. Most likely, unless it's an extremely long gorge. Anyway, in the Wii version, this is not possible. Now, this is a great thing for speedrunners to go to the Gamecube version for because it lets you get through a lot of places a lot quicker. It even lets a 100% speedrun be plausible. Reason number 5, definitely the one I think should be the most abundantly obvious, and definitely the most important one, is that the controls for the sword, your main weapon in the game, sucks. Okay, and here's the reason why it sucks and why it's not a problem in the Gamecube version. In the Gamecube version, when you press the button B, the game knows that you want to swing the sword. When you're holding it forward, it'll thrust. When you're pressing down L, it'll do a vertical slice, and so on and so forth. The Wii version is actually less responsive even in this regard. In the Wii version of the game, you have to flick the Wiimote. And I don't mean swing, I mean flick, because it doesn't matter if you swing or if you flick, the game registers as the same thing. It's basically the same thing as the B button, but it's actually less responsive than the B button. You're probably wondering, how can it be less responsive than the B button if it basically is the B button? Well, for one, your reaction time is far slower on the Wiimote than it's going to be on the Gamecube, because when you think to do something right away, you can press the button. The button is right there, right underneath your thumb. It can happen right there. But on the Wii, when you swing it, it's going to delay because you had to get your swing done by the time before it even recognizes that you've swung it. Not only that, but the controls for doing everything else, they're not realistic at all, because if you thrust the Wiimote forward, it's just going to do a regular swing, because it doesn't know what the hell it's doing. You have to actually hold down the Z button, press forward, and then swing, and then it'll do a thrust. That's a lot of work for a thrust, guys. Not only that, but the spin attack is actually significantly stupider to do in the Wii version, because to do the spin attack, you have to shake the nunchuck. Now, first of all, this makes no sense, and it's also very unresponsive when you get the shield thrust later in the game, because it's also controlled very similarly, where you have to thrust forward the nunchuck. And so very often the game gets the two confused, so you'll do spin attacks when you do the shield thrust, and you do shield thrust when you do the spin attack. But eventually you'll figure out, hey, well, if swinging the Wiimote is exactly the same as pressing the B button on the Gamecube version, can't I just circle the control stick and then swing it and that'll do me spin attack? Well, you could, except that you can't, because the game, by design, will not let you do that. It's really, really stupid, I know, but that's the way it works. In case you think I'm just knocking on Wii controls, I'm not. I love the Wii. It's the only 7th generation console I have, but the fact is that Twilight Princess was not made for the Wii, it was made for the Gamecube, and it belongs on the Gamecube. And that is why, if you're going to get Twilight Princess, if you haven't yet, you should get the Gamecube version. You might need to buy a memory card for it, but the fact remains that if I wasn't a big enough Zelda nerd, I would definitely break this disc right here on camera, but I am such a Zelda fan, I am willing to keep this for collector's purposes. Damn you. So that's all for today on the Blog Wars, Chris. I hope to hear from you soon, and maybe get a rebuttal as to why you love the Wii version of Twilight Princess so much. And if you want me to get my problems of the game on a whole, like including the GameCube version, I'll be happy to do that too, but for now I'm just happy to complain about the Wii version. I'll see you later.